Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another live stream following the strongest storm on Earth. Right now, as I do this video, the landfall is underway of the Cat 5 massive hurricane, Hurricane Melissa in the Caribbean Sea, just reaching the coast within the last 30 minutes, the coast of Jamaica. I have some exclusive footage from the area of Treasure Beach, Alligator Pond. We're looking at Kingston, Jamaica right now. They're on the outer edge. What's up, the awakened wisdom within? Good morning, Drifter. Good afternoon, wherever it is you call home. Hey, what's up, Kaylin? Hey, Seuss JP. We're looking at, again, this is Crossroads, Kingston in Jamaica. You can see the winds blowing. There's some debris on the streets. Right now, for all intents and purposes, the situation in Kingston seems to be well under control. But this is just getting started. This is a long duration event, and this is what they're looking at, this thing right here. And over here where my mouse is at is where Kingston Bay is at. And we're going to be looking at Kingston Harbor, Kingston Bay, the city of Kingston, which is well within the very strong outer bands. The inner core is over here to the eastern side of the western side of the island, making landfall near Treasure Beach. I've got some still images and some video footage from Treasure Beach. You're going to see a house that had the roof taken completely off. We're seeing some down power lines in Kingston. From what I understand, they went ahead and turned the power off in some places, which was probably a good idea. That way they can avoid some damage and things like that. But they turned the power off in some places last night. But as you can see, this thing making landfall literally right now as we're speaking, and it is still perfectly intact. Sometimes when these hurricanes even get close to land, the eye wall starts to become discombobulated and basically starts to fall apart. Not this one. This is supposed to make landfall now in Cuba as a Category 4, going all the way to Cuba as a Cat 5. One of the reasons is because it's gaining forward speed. It went from basically 2 to 3 mile an hour. Now it's up to, I believe, 6, 7, 8 mile an hour. Good morning, Milton Ray Williams. Thank you for the videos, Milton Ray out of North Carolina. Appreciate that, sir. Guys, make sure you hit the like button. I see we're at 97. Let's get it up to 1,000 today. That way the video will be pushed out farther. We're not trying to win a popularity contest. We're just trying to get the video pushed out there farther. That's all, and I appreciate that, and I want to thank you very much in advance. Once again, I've got footage from Treasure Beach, which is right in here. This is where the eye wall basically made landfall, right in this area somewhere near Black River, Black Spring Point, Treasure Beach. I've also got video footage, like I said, from there and over here at Alligator Pond. And again, this is right in the action spot, right in here. You're going to see some dramatic footage. I was actually watching a video earlier this morning trying to find some, exclusive live stream or just some exclusive footage from the area. And they're looking to see the wind starting to blow here. And again, this is on the outer edge of the big, wide, thick band. You can see the trees starting to blow. I saw some power lines dangling in here earlier. We'll come back and take a closer look at that area here in just a moment. This is Flat Bridge. It's a river that runs through Jamaica, and it's right here. This river is growing. It's getting bigger by the minute. But every once in a while, the camera kind of, stalls out a little bit. But right there's the river just to the north of Kingston. We're watching this river very closely because more than likely, there's going to be a lot of rainfall in this area, and this river is going to probably set a new major high, I would say, by the end of the day because it's going to rain all day long. So we're following the storm. Here's another look. This is an area where I saw some power lines down, and you can see the wind is gaining momentum. The camera's starting to bounce. Roads obviously very wet. They're going to get wetter. It's going to rain all day. So as we mentioned yesterday, if it rains a mere inch an hour, which is nothing for a tropical storm. This is a high-end hurricane. inch an hour, you're looking at 24, 36 inches of rain, quite possibly even more. I want to take you guys to, okay, there's Flat Bridge. There's the camera right now. It'll come back on, though, here in just a moment. I want to take you guys over to the Treasure Beach Alligator Pond area. This is the area that saw the high impact of the strong eye wall. And that white stuff you see in the middle of the eye wall, that represents lightning. I mean, this thing was very well organized. It didn't have any weaknesses. And again, like I mentioned earlier, this thing isn't even showing any signs of weakening as it's over land. The storm surge down there, from what I'm hearing, was quite exponential. But anyway, I'm going to take you guys to Treasure Beach, which is right there in the area near the eye wall. This is near the eye wall at 11:33 Jamaica time. This isn't actually right next to the eye wall, but it's within a few miles. And this was recorded on a monitor. The people were trying to stay safe. You can see right there a roof. Let me see if I can pause it right. Let's see, where are we at here? Okay, this is near Treasure Beach, okay? It's not far from the eye wall. Watch, there's a house right here. The roof came completely off. This is probably one of many examples, I'm sure. This is, again, a very strong storm, but that roof is no longer there. See it? And that's near Treasure Beach. And it just goes to show you that the winds obviously were in excess of 100 miles an hour, quite possibly 150, who knows? You can see the palm trees are handling it like they normally do. I've seen the palm trees bend over and literally almost touch the ground. I've seen that before in storms. But that roof is gone. Don't know where it went, but it's no longer on top of the dwelling. Unbelievable. Took some still images of a gentleman that was trying to scurry away from the beach over near, I believe, Alligator Pond. The water came in very high. They're dealing with flooding in the Alligator Pond area. Of course, it's right there close to the coast, and the guy was running towards the inland area. He was trying to run away from the coast, and he was standing in waist-deep water. Just an unbelievable scene. I think there was another house back there, right there. There's another one. It's difficult to tell. I think the roof is still intact on that place, at least partially. I know it's difficult to tell. This was recorded off of a monitor for safety reasons, obviously. Debris flying all over the place. Things get loose and become flying projectiles. That's the problem. And then the trees fall into the power lines, and that creates a whole nother issue. You can see some damage over there. I'm sure there's a lot of damage, and it's just too early to tell us. This is just getting started with regard to the landfall. And this is quite easily the strongest storm on the earth. Right now, it is easily the strongest storm on the earth. There's some other storms over in the eastern hemisphere right now, but not anywhere near a Category 5 storm. But this location right here you see, and the house roof gone, is right here in this area. It's one of these houses around in here. There's the Great Pond, some of these houses in here. Treasure Beach, they were very close to the center of rotation. Coming over here to Alligator Pond, this is the area right here. There was significant storm surge in this area. And I believe we talked about this area yesterday. There's very little difference between the water and the land here. I mean, they're right at sea level. So that would be an easy place to be inundated by a Category 1, let alone a Category 5. But you're going to see pictures of flooding in this area here, well inland. You're going to see a gentleman, actually he was trying to look like he was trying to get to higher ground. Yeah, right here. It's difficult to see. That's a man right there because the rain was coming down so hard at the time. This is in the Alligator Pond area. Thanks for hitting the like, guys. Really appreciate that. He made it, he got up here and got away from the rapidly rising water. And you can see the arrow that I've indicated. It was right here. So that's how far away this particular incident you're seeing right now was away from the eye wall. He's right there. That's a person right there as the water is rising or was rising very rapidly. Once again, these are images from not far from the eye wall. Unbelievable. Here's another photo. You can see this is just as it was making landfall, the water coming in. There's a house. You can see branches on the ground. Here's another photo from the eye wall area. Check this out. You can see the water starting to rise. This is in Alligator Pond. I'm sure the water is much higher now. The person obviously went offline because conditions became so inclement. They no longer had internet service. The power, they said they turned the power off earlier in the evening yesterday during the overnight hours, but you can see the water starting to rise. Again, this is near the coast at Alligator Pond, just as the storm was starting to make landfall. So you can see it was pushing water in. There's a good example of storm surge right there, and the rain still coming down, and the rainfall totals are obviously yet to be determined because this is an ongoing event. It's going to rain all day. So if it rains all day, probably a couple of feet of rain wouldn't be too far out of the question, I wouldn't think. Here's a look at Kingston, Jamaica Street in the Kingston area, which Kingston, if you look at the overall grand scheme of things, Kingston is right over here where my mouse is at. It's still well within the reaches of the storm. The storm, as you can see, is occupying the vast majority of Jamaica. It's going to be headed towards Cuba. I don't know if it's going to make that full right-hand turn or not. We'll have to see. We're going to be watching this thing the whole journey. But it's supposed to now trek right towards Cuba as a Category 4. Not only making landfall as a Category 4, but going all the way to Cuba, right up in here as a Category 5. Unbelievable, right in there. Cat 5. We'll be following it there too. I'm not quite sure of where the main population centers. I know Havana in Cuba. I just don't know how densely populated this southwestern part of the island is. But we'll take a look and see. That's where it's headed in the next, 24 to 48 hours, I think. Yeah, 24 hours. It should be on the doorstep of Cuba. Unbelievable storm. Let's check out some more cameras. This is, where we at? Waterfront view, Kingston Harbor. You can see the harbor is very choppy. The winds are blowing pretty good. Looks like the power is off. It's difficult to tell. Obviously, it's daylight. But from what I understand, they did turn the power off last night. And that's not a bad idea, you know. It kind of preserves the power grid. It keeps it from getting too much damage in situations like this. You can see the wind blowing here pretty strongly. Let's go into the full screen, see what's happening here. This is in Kingston, Jamaica. And right now, I mean, other than it's, rather windy, good news is there's not a whole lot of damage. But again, this is an ongoing event. It's just now getting started. Water's accumulating on those mountains over there to the right and to the left. This area is surrounded by mountains that are collecting water as it's raining. The water is going to run downhill. The camera's a lot more active than it was yesterday. This camera was hardly moving last night, but it's moving a lot today as the winds have picked up dramatically. So this is the strongest storm on the earth making landfall. Basically, look at that camera moving around. You can see those winds are starting to pick up a lot. This is an ongoing event. It's going to be going on all day and into the night. I don't know how much longer this camera is going to be able to stay online. Right now, it's doing a good job. Big, powerful storm. Big, powerful storm. Luckily, the eye wall did not make landfall here in the Kingston area. At first, models were suggesting that. Wow. There's just a lot of, this is a very densely populated area, a lot of buildings, a lot of, businesses. There's apartments in here, different structures of a variety of kinds, restaurants that would have done a lot of damage. A lot of damage. So it went a little farther north and to the west. So big storm making landfall at the present time. It was a slow mover, at times basically stalled at 2 miles an hour. And hasn't shown any signs of weakening. It doesn't have any weak spots. It never did. Never had any weak spots at all. Oh, did you see a red vehicle? I know last night all we saw was white vehicles. Let's go see if we can find a white vehicle. Where are we at? Oh, here we go. Now it's kind of panning around on autopilot. Yeah, last night all we saw, the vast majority, was white vehicles. They seem to be very popular. The most popular choice in Jamaica, white cars and trucks. There. Oh, and speaking of, there you go. A white van. I mean, who would have thought it? A white van in Jamaica? Are you serious? They love their white vehicles in Jamaica. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right, cool. You can see the wind starting to howl here. It was pretty quiet last night. We did see a power line that was trying to I don't know if it was a light, if it was a connector, I don't know what it was, but it was throwing sparks and coming loose before the wind even picked up. I don't know if water somehow penetrated the electrical component. There was a couple of dogs right over there running wild. Probably trying to find a dry spot. The winds probably are only going to get stronger for the next couple, 3 hours as this thing is moving over the island literally right now as I do the video to the north, to the west, and to the north. The main center of rotation. Now see those mountains right there? They're collecting water, and that water is going to run downhill. So this is a situation that is unfolding. There's going to be flooding. There's no doubt about it. That's inevitable. It's just way too big of a storm. It's carrying too much moisture. So it's a big, strong storm. Again, it's the strongest one on the planet right now. So there'll be flooding in the city and in different places, especially the lower areas. The water will show and reveal the low spots in the city. So that's just where it's going to go. Gravity's going to take it right there. It's going to take it out of the mountains. But right now, other than a little bit of wind and rain, which is totally normal with a situation like this, it could be a lot worse in the Kingston area. There goes another, you guessed it, white car. Are you serious? Can't make this stuff up. There's a silver one, kind of balancing things out here. Next car, white. I would not doubt it. Let's see. Next car, is it going to be a white car? That's just a weird observation, but it's true. Let's see if the river is back up and running. Nope, we're still kind of stalled over here. This thing stalls and then it comes back on, stalls. What I'm waiting to see is I took a screen grab of the water level about an hour and a half ago. I'm going to compare it here later on once the camera comes back online to see how high up the river goes. It's going to rise. It's not a question of if, it's just a matter of when and how much. Silver truck. That's 2 in a row, silver. What's up with that? What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? Pure Michigan. What's up, Daryl, Steve? How's everybody doing today? Make sure you hit that like button. That'll push the video out there just a little bit farther. It's not going to go far anyway because I'm doing a weather report. So that's a basement video. But it's all good. It's something I like to do anyway. And if I can help a person, you know, like I did with Irma, I was very honored to be able to help somebody during Hurricane Irma. Here's a different view here. And the camera's up a little higher too, so it's going to be a little bit windier up here. They're probably at the 50 or 60 foot range with regard to the camera. It's a little breezier. There again, there's those mountains, and those mountains are collecting water, and the water is going to run down as gravity rules, and it'll take the water, you know, to some point in the city, maybe on the edge of the city. Just depends on how much rain they get. It's been raining for several hours. It's going to rain for several more hours. So right now, Kingston is actually faring pretty well, considering this big, massive storm has Kingston right on the edge. Kingston's right in here. So you've got some more dark headed towards Kingston. I mean, it's far from over. It's just getting started, and it's headed this direction here. It's supposed to go more to the right, which would be east, and go right into southwestern Cuba, right in here. In fact, we're going to look at the Google Earth. There's Flat Bridge. There's where this area here, Santa Cruz, Magadi, Black River, White House of all things. And if I'm not mistaken, let's look, guys. How weird is this? Yeah, there it is. Okay. Did this thing make landfall on the White House? We got white cars, we got white trucks, and it looks like this thing made landfall on, it did. You gotta be freaking kidding me. It made landfall in White House. So white cars, white trucks, White House. Yeah, it did. Let's back out and see. Sure the heck did. You've got to be kidding me. Okay, look at this inlet here and inlet here. It went right in between the two inlets. So you ready? Here we go. You can't make this stuff up, man. It did. There's the inlet out, and there's the inlet. It made landfall in White House. Why would we be surprised? It was already probably, White House is where it made landfall. Come on. There's a white truck. It's like we're in some bizarre movie. Black truck. Are you serious? Yeah, it made landfall in White House. There's a white car. Yeah, white cars, White House, white trucks, landfall in White House, Jamaica. And what's this, a silver white car? I don't know. It might be silver. Silver seems to be probably, I would say, the second most popular compared to white. But yeah, it looks like it made landfall in White House, Jamaica. Winds are picking up in Jamaica, in the Kingston area. That's where we're at right now, Kingston. Like I said, I've gotten footage here from Treasure Beach. This is near the eye wall, just to the right of the eye wall. A roof right here, as you can see, came off the top of that house. Here's another look at some action near the eye. Not right up next to it, but close enough to where it took the roof off that house. Quite possibly other homes back in the back there that we just simply can't see. This was recorded off of a monitor. I didn't record it. The person was recording this off of a monitor, I think for safety reasons, obviously. But yeah, there you go. The roof right there, this went airborne. You can see the winds were howling earlier this morning. The palm trees, which it seems like them palm trees, they can handle the high winds. I've been in a few hurricanes and I've seen palm trees literally bend all the way over, almost touching the ground, and they don't break. I don't think I ever saw a palm tree break off during a hurricane. I don't think I did, but there's somebody out for a casual stroll during the hurricane. Doesn't seem to be fazed at all by the wind or the little bit of rain that's currently underway in the Kingston area. This is in Kingston. This is not near the eye wall. They're on the outer edge of the very large storm. This is closer to I'm going to show you some pictures right here. This is a gentleman that was running away from, I believe, storm surge as it was coming in the Alligator Pond area. It looks like the storm made landfall literally in White House. If I had to say, I would say, White House, Jamaica, right in there. But this is an Alligator Pond, which is right over in this area. And this is where there's a man right there he was running from the rising water. And here's another view. There's a man right there just kind of out for a little stroll. Here's another view. You can see the water coming up. There's a house right there. I don't know, the water's probably maybe a foot or so. It was early on. This is when it just started. And then the person got knocked offline. They lost power. Here's another view. You can see the water starting to rise. This was very early, so I'm sure the water's much higher now as the storm and that right-hand side of the storm was pushing the water inland. And not only pushing the water inland, but you can see it was raining copious amounts near whiteout conditions. So the rain was coming down very heavily as anticipated. High winds near the eye wall and just to the edge of the eye wall. This is several miles away from the eye wall, but close enough to where they saw significant rain, flooding, storm surge, high winds, wind damage. We saw roofs off of homes. It's still too early to tell. And then with the power being out, that's going to create, communication gaps. People that were doing, remote streams from the area. Some of them still have connectivity, some of them don't. Just depends on where they're at. Maybe they're at a hotel or something like that. But a lot of activity right now, especially on the western half of Jamaica. This one here is starting to stall a little bit. Let's go back to the river. It's still it's struggling. It must have been, that is right here in this area. That's the exact location of that camera right there. We can tilt it a little bit right there. So the camera you're looking at is right there. It's been offline for just a few minutes. It'll come back on. It's been doing that for the last few hours. It's kind of like the personality of the camera. Look at all these wires here. That would have been a huge mess if this area would have seen 100-mile-an-hour winds and I don't know, that right there, there's probably what, 50 different wires there on this corner. There's probably a variety of phone lines and internet, cable, power, obviously. Man, there's a lot of wires there. And the electromagnetic energy right there has got to be off the charts. Yeah, if you take an EMP reader and you get close to an area like that, there's a constant presence of electromagnetic energy. I mean, quite a bit, really. But it looks like, I don't know if that's emergency power or if that's the regular power, but there's some sort of power right there as there's a light that is currently on. And I think that sign, no, that's not a light, that's just a sign. But yeah, there's power right there. That may be emergency power, I don't know. Never been to Jamaica. Beautiful island, though. Most islands are. Absolutely. Bouncing around here. Here's Kingston Harbor, Jamaica waterfront view looking in to Kingston. You can see the water splashing up over there. Coming up over there's a little barrier wall right there, and I mean little. I was looking at it on Google Earth, and the wall is not much more than a couple feet high, if that. It's very, very small, so the water would have no problem. You can see the waves starting to crash up over that wall right there. See the waves going up over the wall? Again, this is just getting started, so that water getting pushed inland and then the water coming down from the mountains. There'll be some flooding in there. You bet there will. This is a long, long ways from being over. Long way from being over. The water's starting to breach that wall. I looked at it on Google Earth. In fact, I went down this road right here checking out the wall. And there's some places there is no wall. It's just straight up water meets the road. Within a few feet. Then there's a little bitty barrier wall that's 2 feet, if that, 20 inches. And I'm like, wow, if this storm eye wall were to come through here, there would be nothing, literally nothing but 20 inches to stop it. It wasn't big at all. I just saw some water splashing over it right there. And it's from the rotation of the storm right here. It's pushing it in now, up and in. And you can see it splashing over the wall right there. It's splashing over the wall. And that'll go on for 2 or 3 hours. I don't know when high tide is. Could be right now. From the looks of the activity over there, we might be experiencing high tide in Jamaica. Yeah, water is easily going up over that barrier wall. Choppy seas, don't see any boats out there, which is good. Or choppy harbor. That's a beautiful place, man. Yes, indeed. I see the camera trying to show those waves popping up over the wall. Yeah, it's a good thing that the storm moved a little bit to the left, which would be to the west, northwest, because a direct impact into this harbor, at one point, that's what it was showing. The eye wall headed right into the, look at that. See the water splashing over the little retention wall there? At one point, it was showing the eye wall headed right into the harbor of Kingston. I was like, whoa, this is not a good situation at all. And any landfall is never a good situation. Some situations are just worse than others. That would have been terrible. So it did move a little bit to the north. It's up near White House, Jamaica. What? Can't make this stuff up, man. Now this one's sputtering, so the winds are starting to take a toll on the cameras just a little bit. Oh, here's one still working. This is Jamaica Street. Halfway, what's that? Halfway tree clock. That's where we're at, halfway tree clock. Wires bouncing a little bit, but to be honest, all in all, they're hanging tough, man. Of course, they haven't seen the brunt of the storm. The brunt of the storm stayed to their west and to the north. I mean, for those tarps to even still be in place is very telling that they did not, at least haven't yet, gotten any big-time winds. And maybe they won't. Let's see what this, we need to get this thing fired up. Let's go, buddy. Let's get back on the river. There we go. I was seeing if the water got up high on that little shack right there. I took a screen grab of it earlier, and as of this point, the camera hasn't been online for us to even see. These here need to be refreshed. Let's refresh them and go back in. Let's go. There we go. Yeah, they're struggling a little bit because the winds are starting to pick up just a little bit in the Kingston area. Saw a roof off of a house. I don't know how many more are like that. It's too early to tell. May not know until tomorrow. There's some activity there. EMS may have some power lines down somewhere. Out checking on the situation. Hear the wind every once in a while. Hear those wind gusts. See if these other ones are back on. Here's the harbor again. Let's zoom in on the harbor over there. All in all, Kingston's doing pretty good considering there's a Cat 5 on the west end of the island. The eye wall didn't flinch. Usually eye walls collapse when they hit land, not this one. It's shocking. Where did it go? Right here. Okay, that one's prior. I need to refresh that one, and I will. But this one, I need to refresh. So we'll refresh it here in just a minute. That's showing still off the coast. There's landfall right there. In fact, I can refresh that one too. Let's refresh it. Well, inland, and it's still perfectly round. Didn't miss a beat. Still perfectly round. Still hasn't collapsed, and the eye wall is completely on land. Are you kidding? Wow. Doesn't even look natural. Starting to see some big waves go up over the retention wall there. Starting to push that water in. See the big waves eclipsing that little wall? That wall's not very big. Like I said, it's only about 20, if that. It's not very big at all. Yep, water going over the top. Might be high tide. Very well could be. High tide Harry's. Once again, the landfall was, believe it or not, right there. White House. Right in here. And again, there's not much difference between the land, that's 1 meter, and you go out to the water, it's the same. I mean, it's this is right at sea level. So you can only imagine how much storm surge went into this area here, in the New Hope area, this whole area right here. And if I'm not mistaken, you can see, yeah, oh wow, you've got these little valleys here. I don't know if you guys remember the atmospheric river that went into Montecito over in California back, I don't know, about 6 years ago. And they got 4 inches of rain in a very short period of time. And the rain came down the slopes and flooded the city down below. And actually brought very large boulders with it. You guys remember that? Created mudslides and stuff in Montecito, California. And that could be, you know, the same type of setup here. It's exactly the same type of terrain. You know, you got the large foothills and you know, small mountains and stuff. And then, you know, it's a very densely populated area. And then that valley right there, and then there's a valley over there. The water is going to find its way to those valleys, the lowest point, and then come down. And probably create mudslides too. But I would say the biggest obstacle here would have to have been storm surge. You've got a Category 5 that's coming in with, you know, minimum 150 mile an hour winds near the core. It's going to push a boatload of water up on land there. The storm surge, I would say, would probably have been at a minimum of 15 feet. 15 feet storm surge. That could have went in, I don't know, a mile? All the way in here? This area here, I don't know what to even think, because there's nothing to stop the water. Nothing. You see these boats, they're just pulled up on the shore. They just pull them up on the shore. They just pull them right up on the sand. And there's no difference in elevation. It's right at sea level. So water just very easily came right on in. And then the water coming down the mountains. That's where it made landfall, guys, right there. And you know how hurricanes typically, once they go over a mountain region, I remember Hurricane Patricia many years ago. That at the time was the strongest hurricane I think ever recorded. Once it hit the mountains of western Mexico, the storm quickly went from a high-end Category 5. It hit the mountains, and it sheared the storm and the rotation and stuff like that. And within 30 minutes, it went, maybe an hour. It went from a Category 5 to a Category 1 as it made landfall in western Mexico. Yeah, that's not the case today. Again, this thing is showing no signs of weakness. None. It has no weaknesses. It can have a perfectly functioning eye wall over land. Why not? Good grief. You serious? That's crazy. Never seen anything like it. A perfectly functioning eye wall over land. And it's been over land a while. Not a tremendous amount of time, but for probably an hour. Landed in White House, Jamaica, the island with the white cars and white trucks. And now we have white caps in the harbor of Kingston. So to recap, we have white caps, white cars, white trucks, and it made landfall in White House, Jamaica. Yeah. Sure enough did. Starting to see some big old splashes over there along the coast. Hitting that little bitty, right there, that little bitty wall. Again, it's not very big, it's small. And in some places, there's not even a wall. Along the coast, I think there was one area right there, I think, that had an opening so water could just kind of, you know, waltz on in unchallenged. But yeah, very small. Oh, those are getting bigger. Look at that. Must be high tide. Could be. Yeah, strongest storm on Earth, guys. Jamaica, there you go. Jamaica became an independent nation back in 1962. I think population just over 1 million folks. Beautiful place. Here's another look at that center of rotation. See that white in there? That's a lot of lightning. That's what that represents. That white represents lightning. These cameras have been working really good, but I wondered for how long. Because once the winds start picking up, these cameras, depending on the make and how well they're installed and stuff like that, the cameras don't always hold up too well during landfalls of hurricanes. They just don't. They do pretty good, like this one here, still hanging in there, but it's not bouncing around a whole lot. Once they start bouncing, the connection gets loose, then the connection obviously becomes intermittent, and you don't have a steady flow of data, which is obviously to be expected. But it is 1:07 p.m., 1:06 p.m. in Jamaica. They're right in the middle of the landfall of Melissa. This area here is on the far outer edge of the big Cat 5. I mean, it's a big, powerful storm. But for now, it looks like Kingston has been spared the brunt of the storm. But they will see some localized flooding. Absolutely. You can see water going over the little barrier wall right there. Then, of course, the rain. It's going to rain off and on, probably more on than off, all day long. So I would say at the bare minimum, they're going to see a foot of rain. I don't know how they couldn't see a foot of rain. This is a very wet storm. So with the storm surge here that they're getting, the water coming down out of the mountains and then the water falling in the city, all of that collectively is going to create flooding throughout the city. I don't know how their infrastructure is designed, but most cities, doesn't matter where, aren't necessarily engineered to handle a Category 5, especially if you're right along the coast. Time you factor in salt water and fresh water, you know, it's just a whole thing. And it's very expensive to engineer a city for a Category 5 that may not ever happen. So they just build these cities and hope that one never hits. Yeah, there's water there, some big old water going up over those walls right there. so far, so good. It could have been a lot worse here in the Kingston area, but again, this thing's just now making a landfall. Kingston's right on the outer edge of this storm, so like I said, they come out pretty good. Kingston's right in there. But over here in White House took the brunt of the storm. White House. That's right where White House sits. Right there. I'll show you. White House. You can't make this stuff up, man. White House, Jamaica is right there. That's right where the storm is at. So, to be honest, White House probably saw blue skies there for a while. Now they're on the backside of the storm. Unbelievable. Can't make this up, man. Hearing some wind somewhere. Right here. That's where we're hearing the wind. Did the river ever come back on? Nope, still floundering. Tell they're having some connectivity issues. This one's hanging on though. Water flying up over the barrier wall. Yeah, it's far from over. It's gonna rain all day. Next stop, Cuba. Right now, it's just over the west part of the island of Jamaica. The eye wall is still perfectly intact, unfazed by the very fact that it's not over water anymore. Hurricanes need water. It's unfazed. It's going to come out the other side of the island as a Category 5. Of course. Yeah. Here's a look at Treasure Beach. For those of you that are just joining, thanks for stopping by, guys, and thanks for spending part of your Tuesday over here with me hanging out. Here's the Treasure Beach area. Earlier today, about an hour and a half ago, Jamaica time, 11:33 a.m., you're going to see a house here in the foreground that the roof went airborne. Probably other things as well. It's just a little bit difficult to see because this is recorded off of a security monitor. And there's a house right there to the right. I mean, you can totally tell this is a screen. See the little loop-de-loops in there? That's a screen. There's the house. No roof. You know, it could have been worse, but this wasn't, like I said, right at the point of landfall. Like with Hurricane Michael back in 2018. Florida Panhandle, Panama City Beach, Mexico Beach, took houses off of foundations. They were completely vanished. That didn't happen, at least in this location. But this is at Treasure Beach. Probably a different story over at White House. White House looks like they took the direct impact of the eye wall. But there's a house where the roof is no longer there. And that one looks like it's still got the roof on it right there. But it's difficult to tell because at the time it was raining, and this again, you can see these little wavy lines. That means it was recorded on a monitor for safety reasons. There's a tree there that's kind of pushed over. Again, there's those lines. That's indicative of recording like if you record your TV screen, it's going to do the same thing. But we still kind of get the idea. This is what happened a few miles from the eye wall itself. Took a roof off of a house. The house is still standing. Power lines bouncing around. Palm trees hung on. But cameras are starting to go offline in some of these places. Those cameras hung on as long as they could. Here's another look at Kingston, Jamaica Street. This is Halfway Tree Clock. And again, the tarps over here and stuff to be still intact. Just kind of floundering around just a little bit. Wires there moving back and forth. Yeah, they got lucky there. They really did. This is in the Kingston area. They could still see some flooding, that's for sure, but they got lucky. Good for them. We don't want to see people's lives get all disrupted from hurricanes. That's not anything anybody likes to see. But it's just part of the world that we live in, you know. It's how the earth is engineered. There's typhoons, there's hurricanes, there's earthquakes, there's things like that all the time. There always has been and there always will be. We just have to try to stay out of the way. Sometimes we can't avoid it, like in the situation here, you know. They're going to do what they're going to do. We just have to do our best to survive some of these big, powerful ones, you know. So it's no telling what happened up here in White House. There's no way of knowing, from what I understand. The direct point of impact was right in here. Right in here. So that means that a lot of this action probably over in the Montego Bay area right now. And that's on the other side of the mountain. So the rain is going to come down this mountain. And you guessed it, right down in there into Montego Bay. Look at that. See the slope? Where's the water going to go? Right down in here. Right down in here. Good grief. Montego Bay is probably going to flood. Big time. That's just a big slope to transfer water down in there. That's the bowl effect again. Yeah. There you go. You got the water coming down in here from the rain. And there's Montego Bay. Oh yeah, and then you've got the bowl effect right there too. See it? There's a valley. That could potentially, you know, take on a lot of water. There's no reason why it wouldn't. This is a big wet storm. And it made landfall over here, and it's headed right towards there. And that's not very long or very far. How far is that? Let's look. White House, Montego Bay, 42 kilometers, which is what? 32 miles, just taking a guess. 26 miles. Man, that's nothing. So from there to there, 26 miles. It'll be there in 2.5 hours. In fact, it's already there. The head of this storm is there. Montego Bay, yeah, it's already there for all intents and purposes. You bet. Montego Bay's right there. Woo! And that eye wall has not flinched. Hasn't flinched, man. Look at that. Wow. That's nuts. That is absolutely nuts. It didn't flinch. And it's been over land an hour. That's crazy. Thank you for the likes, guys. Really appreciate that. Keep the likes coming. That's all I ask. Just hit that like button. It's free, and it helps the live stream. That's all. We're not trying to win a popularity contest. We're just trying to push the video out there a little bit farther. We've seen where the hurricane made landfall. Preliminary observations are suggesting that it made landfall in White House, Jamaica. And we noticed through video observation, Jamaica loves white cars and trucks. Yes, so making landfall in White House is absolutely no surprise. And I mean, it looked like it went squarely into White House. I mean, the entire eye wall. And it sits, of course, right along the coast at sea level. So we all know what happened during Hurricane Katrina, which was a Category 3. This was a Category 5 when Hurricane Katrina made landfall in New Orleans, which also sits near sea level. This here is an entirely different situation. Everything's configured differently. I mean, they are literally at sea level. This is a little island. So for a Category 5 to come up into an area like, you know, White House, where there's nothing to stop it. I mean, it's no telling what's going on here. It's probably obviously it's way too early to tell, but yeah, went right in here. Right through there. And surprisingly, these mountains are having no effect on the eye wall. None. It's functioning just like it's still over water. Zero effect. Unbelievable. Still don't have a camera here. Just want to see how high the river gets. That's all. Flat bridge. It'll probably stop. All right. We're going to keep going. Yeah, it's stopped. That's what it's been doing. It'll come on for a minute and then stop. That one stopped. And then we have this one here, which is showing about the same thing. And then this one here, which is down in Kingston, where, like I said, they are doing well. At least at the present time. There's a little bit of water standing here and there. It's going to rain all day, so they'll probably see more water accumulate on the roads throughout the city. Not anything they probably can't handle, though. They avoided the extremely high winds that were near the center of rotation. That's still rotating at a high level. The eye wall has been unfazed by its encounter with the mountainous area of the western end of the island. Unfazed. It's still perfectly round, functioning like it's over 80-degree water. That is wild. We are here at Halfway Tree Clock, Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica. Seeing a little bit of wind, and it's raining a little bit harder now. It's going to rain all day. So if it rains an inch an hour, after all, it's a tropical storm, a hurricane, so those are very capable of doing that. A weak tropical storm will rain an inch an hour. So if they see that, they could see 20 inches, it's moving faster now, but I would say at least a foot. Even over in this area here, it doesn't look like it. They can see a foot of rain. You bet. If it rains all afternoon into the evening hours, yeah, they'll see 10, 12, 14 inches of rain. But it seems to be running off. A lot of this is at a slope. So good for them. Good for them. That's great. So far, it has not been super drastic there. This is where that camera is at. I'm trying to watch this river. That's why I'm there. I'm watching this river to see if it rises a whole lot. That's what we're looking for. You know it's going to rise some because these mountains catch water. That's what happened in Puerto Rico. There were hundreds and hundreds of mudslides in Puerto Rico following the landfall of Hurricane Maria. This is the same type of storm, a little bit stronger. So the northwest end of the island is going to see, I'm sure they're dealing with mudslides and mudslides right now coming down out of those mountains. And probably in central Jamaica as well, because that's where the eye wall is primarily at. Strongest part of the storm's right through here, right through the center. And obviously around the eyeball right through there. Let's take a look at what's right in there. Tollgate, Alligator Pond, Mandeville, Mile Gully, Kendall, Newport. All those areas, they were in the not the eye of the storm, but they just as well have been. Alligator Pond, that's where these images came from right here. This is right as the flooding started, the storm surge and the high winds, and then they lost their connection. So hopefully they're okay. This was a man that was out in the floodwater. He was over here in this house, I think, and the house started taking on water. So he got out and went this way, and then the connection was lost. But he came out of there. He was coming down this way. So the house was still standing. You can see it took on a little bit of damage, but again, this was right as it was making landfall. So I don't know what the situation is now. Probably won't know for a day or two, if that, because this area took a pretty big hit from a very powerful Category 5 storm that made landfall. If I had to say, and I'm not making the official landfall destination by any means, I'm just saying based off of what I see, it went into the New Hope, White House area, nearly a direct impact right here. Yep. So there was probably a huge amount of storm surge in there. It's just no telling. It's really no telling what happened there. Still going on. They're dealing with the backside of the storm now, not the front. They took the front, now they're dealing with the back. So hang on, guys. It's going to be around for a few more hours, and it's headed towards Montego Bay. Montego Bay is in probably one of the strongest parts of the storm, literally right now. The eye wall's bearing down on Montego Bay. So here's another look at Crossroads, Kingston. You can see quite a bit of leaf vegetation, no branches. I don't see any power lines anywhere. There's possibly another white car. Let's look and see. Of course it is. White cars, white trucks, and the landfall was in White House. Yeah. But doing pretty good here. I'm just being honest, guys. This is good to see. I didn't want to see the city get all tore up. Nah, man. It's people's homes. It's where they live. This is what supports a population of over 900,000 people. You don't want to see it all decimated. No. So, yay for Kingston. I'm glad for you guys. There goes another white car. Go figure! Y'all love your white vehicles. That's good. I do too. I got a white vehicle. Definitely on board with that. Right on. How's our river cam doing? Man, that thing's been offline for an hour now. What's up, river cam? You can tell there's 3 cameras there offline too, because we were watching those earlier. Cameras are going down, which stands to reason, man. They're dealing with a hurricane. A lot of things going down. It's going to affect cell service and, of course, internet. Main thing, power. Just hopefully it won't be off too long. Now, where the storm made landfall, you know the power is going to be off there for at a minimum of weeks. Puerto Rico, it was over a year. Those look like they're getting, look at that, wow. Those are getting bigger, getting stronger. Inward push, huh. But, you know, overall looking good. Towers are up, tower on top of the building still up. It's windier up there. Don't see any damage to the buildings. Rocking and rolling, let's go. Hey, got 1,000 likes. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that. That helps the video go out further. Oh, here comes a spam call. I'm not going to answer it, of course. You guys getting spam calls? Not to change the subject for too long, but I'm just curious. I'm looking at the chat room right now. I get probably anywhere from 2 to 4 spam calls a day. My wife and son do too. Thank you, Anagram Mirror. You're welcome. Just a quick random question, because I just got one right now. Do you guys get spam calls too? What's up, Chris Hankey? 20 calls a day. Fusey? I know. I get between 2 and 4 every single day. 5 a day. Metavision, thank you. I never answer one. Thank you, Chris, back. Yes, James. I never answer them, Fusey, you too. You're welcome, Igor. Tons of spam. Thank you, Donna. Nicole, Skyfly, Metavision. Used to be 8 to 10. I'm going to be honest with you. I block every one of them. Identity 2 to 4. Yeah, me too. 2 to 4 exactly. I don't answer them, Raindrops, because you're right. If you do answer them, you're going to end up getting more. Christina, about 10 you and your husband get. Yeah, it's about the same way here. Between me and my wife and my son, I don't know how my son gets them. He's only 18. Okay, Human 5, Pastor Dana Jones, 10 plus daily. Wow. Isn't that annoying? You know what? Here's the thing. I put it on the verge of disrespectful. You know, as a customer of a carrier, like you guys have a phone carrier, I find it very disrespectful. As a customer, I don't want to be bothered with spam calls all day long. I really don't. I am very disgusted with my phone service provider. I am very close from getting rid of my phone. You have no idea. They're that close to losing a long-time customer. Because this just started about a year and a half ago, less than a year ago. And I'm fed up with it. And blocking seems to not work. You're right, human patient. It doesn't work. I block every single one of them. Every single one. And I still get them. Doesn't matter. It's unbelievable. I've never experienced anything like that. And I've had, just like you guys, a cellular phone since they came out. And you might get a rogue, call here and there. Just rogue. 2 to 4 a day? People are saying 10 a day? Come on, man. That's just straight up disrespect. Need to knock that off. Or I'm getting rid of my phone. I'm not playing. I will get rid of it. Trust me, I come from a world where there weren't no cell phones and we lived just fine. So keep pushing me and I'll just get rid of the phone and you'll lose a customer. And I'm not joking. Wouldn't bother me a bit. Here, you can have your phone back. Call yourself. Get on it. Call yourself 10 times a day. How you like it? Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. Keith K, 4 to 8 every day. Isn't that something? 4 to 8 spam calls a day. That is so disrespectful, man. That is so disrespectful. You are a customer, a valued customer. I remember one time I was at a store making a purchase. It was a grocery store. And they asked me, they said, are you a VIP customer? And in order to get the sale items, you had to be a VIP customer, And I said, and I'd shopped at the store for years. And I said, well, yeah, and you give them your phone number. And that's probably how your phone gets all these spam calls. But this was a long, long time ago. But I looked at the person. This was back before they had all this automation stuff, where you have to do the self-checkout and bag your own stuff and carry it out. This was back in the day when they actually had customer service. And I asked them, I said, well, isn't everybody a VIP customer? And the lady looked at me and she goes, you're right. I says, yeah, if they're a customer in here buying your goods, aren't they very important people? Why would one be different than the other? A customer is a customer, and they're all valued customers. Without customers, you have no business. So just like these damn phones, without no customers, you don't have a phone company. So keep it up. Keep doing your spam calls and getting your jollies. I'll drop you like a hot potato. I'm not playing. Wouldn't bother me a bit. Getting 15 plus a day, just some other guy. That is unacceptable, man. You're a customer, your privacy has been invaded. Your number has been given to way too many people. I do little experiments every once in a while when you come up on these businesses. They're soliciting your email and wanting your phone number. I set up an email one time and gave it to one business. And I knew that way I would know where it came from. And sure enough, they didn't keep my data in-house. I had to give them the email in order to get the effing sales. So yeah, I gave them the email, and sure enough, within about 3 weeks, started getting all this spam BS because they sold the bogus email that I gave them. It wasn't bogus, but it was just one that I didn't use, so I didn't care. Yeah, I told him about it too. Told him you can't be trusted and you lost a customer because of what you just pulled. That's exactly what I told him. It should be illegal. It's an invasion of your privacy. Why are they giving your number out to just rogue and random people that harass you every day? Literally, it's a form of harassment. I'm sick of it, man. I am absolutely fed up with it, and I'm about to just get rid of the phone. No joke. Don't answer it, because once you answer it, then you're going to go on another call. Oh, we got a person on here. They answer it, so you know, just don't. Like this one I just got. I'm going to block it right now. How many we got today? Let's see. That's the second one today. Whoops. 980 number. There, blocked it. So that number won't call back, but 3 other ones will. So disrespectful. I don't appreciate it. Heiser, I just don't answer. I don't either. I don't answer them at all, but it's just the principle of it, you know? To think that you're just an insignificant, unimportant person that they can just bombard with spam phone calls every day. That's not okay, man. And it never has been, and it never used to be. And do you know, my wife took the time, and I told her, I said, yeah, I don't know if that's going to work. She says, no, they can't do that. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll give it a try. She put herself and her number on the do not call list. And there is a list that you can get on where it's illegal to literally call your phone number with solicitation stuff. She put her number on the do not call list. And guess what? It did not stop. In fact, if anything, it made it worse. So that's not even trustworthy anymore. You can't even get on the do not call list. Doesn't matter. So why even have it? It's a joke. $50 calls, Michelle. Isn't that something? 50 calls. Yeah, one of mine no call list is a joke. I think they just give your number out more if you put your number on that. Brian Pirro. It's just it's on purpose to rattle your nerves. And you know what? You could be right, Brian, because it just started happening within the last year. I don't let it bother me though. But trust me, I keep a mental note, and they're going to lose a customer because I'll turn in my phone. I'll keep my phone. I'll turn off my service until they get their act together and realize that without customers, you have no business. Plain and simple. It's not rocket science. 5K numbers blocked. Never slowed down. Wow, that's unbelievable, Joey. I don't know how many I've blocked. I know it's over 300 or 400. But it's all automated, so it just picks another number, and you know, it's part of your AI world. It just automatically picks another number, and it spits out a conversation on your voicemail. In fact, I'm going to turn off my voicemail today. That's my first thing. I'm going to turn off the voicemail. Because it's just an automated person with a rogue and random name. One day it's Joey, one day it's Lucy, one day it's Harry, one day it's Harold, the next day it's, you know, just some Debbie. They just choose a name out of thin air. So yeah, I'll be turning off my voicemail today. 20 gigabytes full of blocks. Revelation of gods. I believe you. Yeah. Unbelievable. That is so disrespectful. Oh well. Yeah, get a bot assistant to answer the calls. Yeah, I suppose. Oh, here we go. The camera back on here. Yeah, it's pretty quiet in Kingston. That's good. I'm glad that they didn't get a direct hit there. There for a while, it looked like it was going into Kingston, and I'm like, that is not good. There's 930,000 people that live here in Kingston. 937, I believe. So they fared pretty good. Good for them, man. Looking at the storm, it's headed right towards Montego Bay. Montego Bay is right here. And it's making a beeline for Montego Bay. Look at that eye wall, unfazed, man. That was definitely a storm for the record books. And again, based off of what I can see here, and you guys can see it too, it looks like it made landfall right in this area here of New Hope, Sandy Ground, White House. Looks like it went right into that area right there. And you know, again, I'll say it one more time, the mountains, I don't know, these aren't big mountains, but they're 1,500 feet. They normally disrupt the eye wall's center of rotation, you know, barometric pressure, it screws with all that. And then of course, a hurricane, they're very sensitive little creatures, big creatures in some cases. They know when they're not over water. That helps them function. That's what makes them function, warm water, not ground and trees and mountains. But again, this thing's unfazed, hasn't slowed it down a bit. I'm still watching Flat Bridge over here in Jamaica. It'll come back on later, but right now it's not doing anything. It's been in free fall for the last hour and a half. So go figure. But we'll keep an eye on it later on and see what happens and follow this thing into Cuba. This one here I need to update. I don't know if I can update that now. Let's see if we can. No, that one there is looking fine. That one's good. That's okay. I'll update it later and take a look at it. Here's another look at the storm right before it made landfall. I mean, it was unlike any type of an eye wall I'd ever seen. Wow. Reminded me a little bit of Hurricane Dorian. Now, see, it's getting feisty now here in Kingston Harbor. Look at that. Starting to get whiteout conditions now. Before, we could easily see the buildings. Now we can't see the buildings or the water splashing up over the barrier wall. So it's pouring right now in the Kingston area. Got whiteout conditions, rain coming down sideways. So it's far from over, guys. It's far from over. Again, they're probably not even halfway through the storm. So there'll be scenes like this all day long, off and on in the Kingston area. It's going to rain extremely hard, and then you'll see light showers. But right now, it is absolutely pouring in Kingston Harbor. In Kingston, Jamaica, this is the harbor right here. Wow, can't even see the buildings. That tells you it is pouring right now. And these rainfall rates with these tropical storms and hurricanes, rainfall rates are usually like what you're seeing right here. If it were to rain a steady hour straight, just like this, it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 4 inches more on the 4-inch side than the 2-inch side. But that's how these things accumulate so much rain. And say on average, if it rained like this steady for 10 hours at 3 inches an hour, you'd have a 30-inch rainfall total. On a storm moving, 8 miles an hour forward speed, you could easily accumulate between 20 and 30 inches of rain. I remember when Harvey hit Houston, and one of the sites I've used for a long, long time. It was the very first time it ever showed me a predicted rainfall total of 50 inches. I'm like, man, you guys, what are y'all thinking of? It's not going to be no 50 inches of rain, right? Well, this was before models were starting to show that it was going to stall. And then everything else updated, and they were just ahead of the curve. They knew the storm was going to stall, Harvey. And that's how they mathematically, well, it was the computer model did it. And they were right. They said 50 inches of rain in some places, and they were absolutely correct. And since then, I've never doubted them. Not once. And I didn't really doubt them that day because they're a very trusted source. Man, it's pouring there. My gosh. It is absolutely pouring in Kingston, Jamaica. Where's the cameras at? Okay, it's pouring out in the harbor. It hasn't made it inland yet. It's a different part of town. Wow, it is pouring out there in that harbor. Look at that. What we got going on here? That's very, very heavy rain. Surprised it's not doing it in here. It's starting to get darker though. You can see the skies are they're bright, but it's dark. And that's a good sign. Power's lit up. Street lights are on, I think. That car's got its headlights on, so it's getting dark, so it's probably going to start pouring here. I'm sure this whole area is going to take on an entirely different personality here in just a couple of minutes, because it is absolutely raining in buckets out here in the waterfront view of Kingston Harbor. Can't even see the buildings anymore. There's fairly large buildings over here that we can't even see. Man, that's coming down. That's classic hurricane for you. Got those bands of just fire hose type water. It's just very, very intense. Yeah, we've completely lost our line of sight with the buildings. We've been sitting here watching these buildings for a while. Wow. That is a downpour. And that time's right, too. It's 1:44 p.m., 1:45-ish. Their time. That's what time it is in Jamaica. They're in the central, if they were on, here comes another spam call. That's 2 in 15 minutes. Another 928 number this time. Wow. It's unbelievable, man. So that's 2 in 15 minutes. No, I didn't answer it. I've never answered one. Yeah, there's the buildings off in the distance. What's it doing in the town? Oh, here we go. Starting to rain harder in here. That's the rain we just saw off the coast. Here it comes. Yep. Probably gonna see a deluge in here. Wow. There goes. You guessed it. Another white car. Yeah, it's fixing to start pouring in here, guys. I think this is going to look like this. Has to. That's the direction it's moving. It's moving inland. Wow. Here we go. About to see a downpour in here. Probably the heaviest rain. That's the heaviest rain I've seen on that camera. Yeah, by a long shot. Looks like nighttime out there, and it's 1:40 in the afternoon. Look at that. That's why I say this is far from over. Oh no, they got a ways to go. Big old storm, big strong storm. That the eye wall is not even being affected by land. That's just so bizarre. I've seen some really high-end storms that as soon as the outer edge of the eye wall touched land, the eye wall just collapsed, you know. And these were high-end storms here. I've followed so many over the years, I've lost count. This one here is unaffected. Oh yeah, you can see the whiteout conditions back there. Can't see the mountains anymore. Here it comes. Getting ready to cut loose. It's going to pour here in just a minute. Yep, here comes that rain, guys. Very, very heavy rain. You can see this building back here starting to disappear. It's coming right towards us. These buildings are starting to disappear. Those are disappearing because of the rain coming this way. It's coming right towards the camera. Here it comes. It's coming right towards the camera. Yep. Man, that is a very heavy band, and it's still doing it out there, so that means it's going to do it in here for a while. Here we go. Get ready for a downpour. Thank you for the likes, guys. Appreciate that. That's very kind and very thoughtful. Appreciate it. I really do. Okay, get ready. Because if it's raining anything there's a black car. If it's raining anything in here, which it's going to, like it's been raining out in that harbor, these streets are going to fill up with water real quick. That is one very, very wet outer band. And it's coming in here. Yeah, you can see it over here already starting to make contact with the ground. Here it comes. Probably the heaviest batch of rain they've seen so far in Kingston. See if the camera holds up. Last night there was a power line that went to a light that was malfunctioning and throwing sparks, and that went on for a good 30 minutes, and then I think it just fizzled completely out. I don't know what happened to it, but there was no wind. It was like water intruded the connection. Yeah, there comes your rain. You can see it. It's going to start pouring. Pouring down rain. This is in Kingston. This is on the southern end, the southeastern side of the island. They're away from the eye wall, but this is a big storm, so it's covering pretty much 100% of the island in some capacity. Some areas are getting the strongest part of the storm, and then some parts of the island aren't seeing, like Montego Bay, I think right now is getting the eye wall, or they're on the leading edge of the eye wall. Yeah, it's getting ready to pour here, guys. These streets are probably going to fill up with water, or at least some degree of water, pretty quick. Heavy rains en route. I know when it rains out here in Arizona, we don't get rain very often, but we had some rain, I don't know, the last couple of months. We had, 3 or 4 days. In 2-day increments, had 2 days of rain, another 2 days of rain. I mean, we literally probably got 4 to 5 inches of rain in those 2 different episodes. And it is so welcome. I mean, and the ground, though, the thing of it is, when it rains like that out here in Arizona, the ground is hard because it doesn't rain that often. And the water can rise real quick. And boy, did it ever. Our backyard was flooded. Part of it was. But I love it. We love the rain. Look at that tower over there bouncing around. Look at it. You serious? You see that tower over there bouncing around? Or does it just look like it is? I don't know. But the water stood for days. Now we got mosquitoes and feel like we're in the swamps of southern Louisiana. Or did for a while. But the ground is very hard out here, so the water has nowhere to go. Unlike here, the ground is probably, more sandy, porous, so the water will run off pretty quick. I know in Florida, when I lived there, we'd get hurricanes, and you didn't really have a lot of standing water after a big storm because the sandy nature of the ground. There's a siren. What's going on here? Siren. Something going on, but they still have power here. That's great. The green power lights or street lights are working. It's about to start pouring here. Kingston, Jamaica. They missed the eye wall, which is great. Good for them. Looks like the eye wall made landfall, though, down around White House, Jamaica. Sparsely populated community. Nothing like here. This is over 900,000 people. But still, there's a lot of people down there. There's a lot of houses right there along the coast and inland and up in the mountains. So that's where the storm made landfall. So they experienced a Category 5 landfall in the White House, Alligator Pond area. That's something they'll talk about for the rest of their life. Experiencing the eye of a Cat 5. Hopefully everybody's okay. That's the main thing. You can always rebuild and fix stuff. There goes. You guessed it. Another white car. What's that noise? Hear that? What in the world is going on here? I don't know what that is. That's weird. Some sort of weird noise. Let's see if the bridge cam's back on. Nope. Still pouring out in the harbor, so that means it's going to keep raining in town here for a while. Yeah, it's starting to pour now. What is that noise? Is that wind? Maybe it's wind. I'd say it's probably wind. Thank you for the likes, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me on your Tuesday. It's almost lunchtime here in Arizona, 11:55 a.m. There it is again. I don't know if you guys can hear there. Now it sounds like a... What the heck that sound is? It sounds like an EMP or something. There goes another white car. Go figure. Starting to rain harder. There's that noise again. Must be wind. I'm going to turn that down. I think it is wind, probably howling through the camera housing. Maybe there's a little breach there or something. It's creating a harmonic tune. Yeah, raining much harder now. There goes a dog. Need to get home there, little guy. Streets are filling up with water. I think this is the hardest I've seen it rain in Kingston. Yeah, by a long shot. But the eye wall is basically parallel with Kingston right now. Maybe slightly to the east of Kingston. So they're probably experiencing the strongest part of the outer bands, if you will. Looks like one big outer band, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's a big, strong, cohesive storm. It didn't look like it had any weak spots at all. It really didn't. The satellite presentation was unbelievable. Yep. Seen a lot of storms, but this one here was in a league all its own. And it started out as this weird disturbance that stayed in the same location about 250 miles south and west of Jamaica and just sat there for days and days. And I'm like, what is this thing doing, you know? And next thing you know, it's a hurricane. I'm like, what? Yeah, you can see way back there what used to be the mountains, and there's buildings over there that we can't see anymore because it's starting to look like that. So that's what's happening. That's the bay out there, and this rain is moving in. Still moving fairly slow, to be honest. It's not moving very fast. I think it's moving at like 6 miles an hour, which is honestly pretty slow for any hurricane. Let's see. I haven't looked, to be honest with you, in an hour. Let's look and see how fast it's moving. Oh, now it's up to 8 miles an hour. Okay. Which is honestly about average, I suppose. Look at the rain coming down sideways. See it coming down sideways here? There's that sideways rain we were talking about. Streets are starting to fill up with water. And this is going to do this for a while, because you can tell by looking at the harbor. It's coming from that direction. Whiteout. We're probably going to see near whiteout conditions here. Here comes the wind, sideways rain, 2 white cars.
With the new U.S. Bank Smartly Visa Signature Card.
Turn that off. Yeah, it's the hardest I've seen it rain here in Kingston. These are good 2 to 4 inch hour rates right here. At least 2 to 4 inches per hour. If it were to rain a steady hour, which it looks like, now we're starting to be able to see the buildings again, so it'll do it for at least 30 minutes. That's about how long it did it out in the harbor. That's what you call a whiteout. And this is in Kingston. Another white car. I'm with you guys. I like white cars too. Yeah, it's pouring now. Camera is soaked. Now it looks like a hurricane. First time I've seen it look like a hurricane here in Kingston right here. Sideways rain and near whiteout conditions. So you know those streets are filling up with water. Man, look at that. We used to be able to see those buildings just 10 minutes ago, plain as day. They're disappearing because of the sideways rain. Woo, it is pouring. I hope that's not moving, that tower. It's got to be the camera, right? No? If that's that tower, I don't know how much longer it can take that. What the heck? Okay, it's got to be this camera. There's no way. That tower could not sustain that type of movement. It would already have been unbolted. Live from Kingston, Jamaica, it is pouring down rain right now. Looks like they're in the middle of a hurricane, and they are. Probably the heaviest rain I've seen in the Kingston area. Streets are filling up with water. Rain coming down sideways. Probably have 20 to 40 mile an hour winds sustained. Gusts maybe a little higher in places at times. Rainfall rate right now, probably in the 2 to 4 inch per hour range. But it doesn't look like it's going to rain for a steady hour. If we go look at the bay, well, it's still pouring out here, so it may very well rain for an hour like this. So if it does, they'll see 2 to 4 inches of rain at least in the next 60 minutes in this area. And that's just 1 hour of many hours of hurricane-like conditions. But it does look like the power's still on. That's great. That's really good. I felt bad for the folks of Puerto Rico. There goes another white car. It didn't have power for a year. That is just, I know generators were a huge thing. People trying to get generators, and it was just a terrible situation. And, you know, basically living off the grid for, in some cases, over a year. Oh my gosh, that was bad. Winds blowing, rain coming down sideways because of the windy conditions, and it's coming down heavy. Heavy rain in Kingston. There goes a white, you guessed it, a white van. Okay, let's go back out to the bay where we're still seeing whiteout conditions. So we got whiteout conditions with white caps, white vehicles, and it looks like the storm made landfall in White House, Jamaica. What's up with the white? You can see the vegetation starting to blow off the trees, landing in the streets. Which, if that's all it does, man, that is welcome. And that's the thing with these storms. It'll show you your weak spots in your trees and your power lines and things like that, because they'll just break. I saw it with Hurricane Charlie. Hurricane Charlie come through and tore the heck out of all the trees, and the weak branches broke off and stuff like that, because right after Hurricane Charlie, 2 weeks later, there was another hurricane that went through, Hurricane Francis. And nothing got damaged. Everybody was panicking. 1.2 million people evacuated the area. I didn't. I stayed. And nothing happened. Nothing. Because I just used deductive reasoning. I'm like, wait a minute, guys. Hurricane Charlie done did all the damage. Anything that was loose and was going to be broken or become a projectile, Harvey already revealed that to us. And nothing was damaged during Hurricane Francis. Nothing. They had curfew, everybody had to stay home. I'm like, come on, man. It's because they underestimated Hurricane Charlie. That's why. So they overcompensated for the next hurricane. That's exactly what they did. But yeah, Francis didn't do nothing. Look at that rain. It's like a shower out there. Somebody turned the shower on. Coming down sideways in sheets. Look just like it did out there in that harbor. Same system, doing the same thing. That street's now a mini river. So where's that water going? So the flooding is still a very high probability in this city. It's happening right now. You're witnessing it. The street is now a small river. Look at that. That building right there in front of us, over here to the right. It's fading from the intense rain. That rain is stacking up. It's flooding, causing the streets to flood. It'll go into the bottoms of the buildings. Wherever it finds its low point of gravity, it's where it's going to pool and start to rise. Yeah, I have no way of knowing based off of this, but you can tell this road right here runs downhill. So the water is going to follow that road for sure. Wow, it is raining hard. Woo! I have not seen it rain this hard the whole storm, at least in this area right here. Let's look at the harbor real quick. Little bit of improvement, but not much. So this is going to look just like the harbor. It does look like the harbor. Holy cow. Yeah, you can tell that street's flooded. It sure is. Look at that. Looks like a little river right over here. Got a little river right there. It is 2:09 p.m. in Jamaica, which is Central Time in the U.S. Wow, it's pouring. Pouring. Still no camera. Okay, that's fine. Get this thing on autopilot. Wow. Complete whiteout out there. So all that area is getting 2 to 4 inch per hour rainfall rates. Just based by the way that sky looks, it's got to be at least 2 to 4 inch per hour rate. Water coming down those mountains over there now. That's the type of rain right there that can trigger mudslides. Right there. If it did that for any length of time, absolutely it would trigger mudslides, you bet. That's what it did in Puerto Rico. Maria, it would do the same thing here. That's what these things do. So hopefully it won't rain like this for hours. Hour here, hour there. I mean, gosh, that's expected, you know. It's a hurricane, man. Can't help it. It's just doing what it does. Historic landfall, Hurricane Melissa. I think this is the first Category 5 in recorded history in Jamaica. At least since maybe going as far back, 175 years or something like that. I don't even know if Jamaica was called Jamaica 175 years ago. I don't know their full history. I know they became a nation in 1962. I know that road over there is a mini river right now. What's it doing out in the harbor? White out again. Good grief. It's going to do this for a while. Yeah, this is going to be the flood maker right here. This is the rain-making component of the storm. It sure is. So any flooding and mudslides will be definitely influenced by this section of the storm in this area, for sure. Yep. Pouring down rain. Here's where it made landfall. This was close to the landfall area, guys. This was a couple, 3 hours ago near Treasure Beach. You can see that house right there lost its roof. So you know it took a pretty hefty gust of wind to do that. Right there, the roof is no longer there. This was during the landfall. I think the landfall, if I had to guess, but it's not my decision to make, but if I had to guess, I would say right here in the White House area. Looks like to me that's where it went in. Sandy ground, White House, and right now, let's go look, get an update. Montego Bay, I'd say, is where it's happening. Yeah, it's headed right towards Montego Bay. Yep, Montego Bay is right over there. For sure. Thank you for the likes, guys. I appreciate that. Helps keep the live stream going, even though this is kind of a small live stream. Just trying to keep an eye on Kingston here. They're getting some heavy rain right now. They're going to see some flooding because of this intense rain. It's been going on for an hour. It's still pouring out here, and the rain's coming inland. It's going that way. So the cameras are over here that we're watching right here. These cameras are inland. So any water that comes in from this direction here, it's coming in from this direction. It's coming in here first into the harbor and then over here in town. So that's what we're seeing. It's been doing that for an hour. So they're going to get a good dose of rain here. Several inches, I would say, 2, 3, maybe 4 inches of rain just from this slug of moisture right here. You can see it accumulating back here. That's a big puddle right there. The water's running downhill. It's accumulating here. Yeah, they're getting a good soaker right here. And this will soak those mountains. And the water sometimes will create mudslides. It's just part of it. There were hundreds in Puerto Rico. I think one person, I read one report after they were able to survey and I don't even know if the estimates or the numbers that I saw were 100% accurate. I don't know how you could come up with a very specific perfect number. I know there were hundreds. I read one report where they said there was over 1,000 mudslides in Puerto Rico following Hurricane Maria. Over 1,000 mudslides. Different ones. But I know at the bare minimum there were a few hundred. Yes. Yep. Well, listen, guys, I'm going to hop off here. Thank you for the 1,500 likes. I appreciate that. This is once again a live report following the historic landfall of Hurricane Melissa on the island of Jamaica. Today's October 28th. This is a historic day. They've never seen a Category 5 as far as I could tell. I think this is the first time they've experienced something like this, and they're probably all saying hopefully it'll be the last time they experience something like this. I was hoping to keep an eye on the Rio Cobre River, but camera didn't cooperate. That's okay. They do that sometimes during these especially high-end hurricanes. So keeping an eye on Kingston, and I'll continue to keep an eye on Kingston throughout the day. But you know what? It is time for lunch. I'm going to go grab a bite to eat. Wow, the wind's picking up here. Look at that camera. Good Lord. Wait just a minute. Let's see what's going on here. What in the world? Yes, you guessed it. I know, it's a white truck. Okay, things are getting kind of wild here. What's going on? I mean, I know we're in a hurricane, but I haven't seen this camera do this. I mean, it's bouncing around big time. Wow. What's going on out in that harbor? Still the same thing, still whiteout conditions. Oh my gosh, well, here comes their flood in Kingston. There's no doubt about it. Right out there is the harbor. That right there. It's all coming inland. Wow. Yeah, they're getting some rain right now. So here's the wet side of the storm. I think it's because they're kind of parallel right now with the eye wall. Cool. But at least they didn't get the eye wall. That's the main thing. Hate to see an eye wall hit a populated community of over 900,000 people. Like Katrina did. That was not a good scenario. Ida, that was not a good scenario down in Fort Myers. And there have been several over the years, but since they've never experienced a hurricane down here of really any magnitude, but start off dealing with a Category 5 they'd be years getting things rebuilt, years. Some places up in the States are still rebuilding, like in Panama City, 2018 Hurricane Michael, Hurricane Ida, Fort Myers, still rebuilding down there. It's not something that you can just do overnight. It takes years to rebuild after that. Hurricane Michael took homes off their foundations. They were completely gone. All that was left was a concrete slab. Very, very intense storm. And yes, I know, it's another white car. You don't have to tell me I see it. Whoops, there went a piece of debris. Well, we'll stick around here. Things are starting to get much more intense. What's going on? I mean, I know we're in the middle of a hurricane, I get it, but we're not near the eye wall over here. But it's starting to get wild. See some debris over there. Things are starting to break loose. I just saw some debris flying down the street. Water's piling up in the streets. We have near whiteout conditions in some areas. And winds are gaining a lot of strength. It hasn't been this windy here since the storm started. This is in Kingston. There's a lot of homes. Over here's mountains, and there's homes up in those mountains right there. They have a spectacular view of the Caribbean Sea. Notice the trees swaying back and forth. What we're looking at here, that is not me. There we go. There's the Jamaica waterfront right there. It is still showing whiteout conditions out there. Look at that. Yeah, it's getting windy. There's a white van. No, another white van. What's it doing out in the harbor still? Yeah, it's whiteout conditions out there, so I'm telling you. Okay, that one just went offline. This one's still on, okay. Yeah, the weather's starting to have an impact on visuals here, so I'm not quite sure how much longer. But we'll stick around for a while. Let's just see what's up. Let's just see what's happening here. Yeah, that Kingston Harbor, wow, it is pouring out there, man. You can't even see the buildings anymore. They're gone. An hour ago, we had a perfect view of the coastline there. It is pouring. Hopefully it doesn't affect the power situation. I mean, it very well could. I don't see any lights on anymore. Not that there were a bunch, but there were a few lights on. Check the harbor again. Wow, whiteout conditions. Pure whiteout. Not sure what's going on here. This is kind of discombobulated. What's up? Isn't that weird? What the heck's going on? I don't know. I guess that's the way it is. There's the harbor again, still white out. That one went off. That one's still on. And that one's still on. Still got power, it looks like, which is good. It's good to see. It's raining hard, though. I mean, we've all dealt with that. Heavy rains. Well, we just had some heavy rains out here in Arizona. And it probably rained like this here. It rained hard. I told my wife it reminded me of a tropical storm. It was raining that hard out here in the desert. Tropical storm-like rain. I loved it because it never rains out here. But it just came down in buckets, man. It piled up in the people's yards and temporarily in the roads. These roads are engineered good, you know, with storm drains, stuff like that. But, you know, yards and everything, there was a substantial amount of water sitting around. Yes, I know, another white van. And a white one over there. Thank you for the likes, guys. I appreciate that. At 1,587 likes. Yay. It just helps the live stream, that's all. I'm not trying to win a popularity contest. We're not in kindergarten over here. We're just trying to push the live stream out, that's all. I'm not sure what that is over there. I don't know if that's a... I don't know. It's a bus stop or something? No, buses aren't running, obviously, in the middle of a storm, but I don't know. Check the harbor again. It's kind of bouncing around. Yeah, it's still white out. We can see a little bit now. Just a very little bit of the coastline, but not much. Still a whiteout type situation going on over there. And yes, another white car. Halfway cock. Is that, what did I say again? Halfway clock. Halfway tree clock. It's a mouthful. Halfway tree clock road. What's up, Drew? Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good day. Thank you, Drew. Hope you're having a good day. Good to see you. Drew's a Star family member. That's why his name is in green. Thank you, Drew. If you guys want to become a Star family member, the link is in the description box. Thank you, Drew. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Thank you. Good to see you, Drew. It's 12:30 here in Arizona. It's 2:30 in Jamaica, where they're right in the middle of a hurricane. As far as I know, it's still Category 5, making landfall. It's made landfall. The eye wall is right over the Montego Bay area. It's moving at a forward speed now of 8 miles per hour. It will maintain its strength over the Caribbean between Cuba and Jamaica as it heads towards Cuba, making a landfall in Cuba in about 24 hours. About this time tomorrow, actually. Maybe a little bit sooner because it's gaining some forward speed. So it will arrive in Cuba a little quicker than it did here in Jamaica. So they can expect, models are indicating right now, I'll show you what I got. They can expect I had it, where did it go? I don't know where it even went. Oh, there it is. Models are suggesting a Category 4 landfall, I think? Yeah. Right now, but that could change. That could change between now and then, and that's 24 hours from now. So that could change. They're still anticipating it being a Category 5. It's a Category 5 now as it's over land. Category 5 all the way between Jamaica and Cuba. And then for whatever reason, weakening to a Category 4 right before it makes landfall at Cuba. That's just what it says. I don't know what would cause it to weaken right before it makes landfall, but that's what it says. That's what Maria did. Maria was a Category 5, and right at landfall went down to a Category 4. And it did a unbelievable amount of damage to Puerto Rico, especially the power grids, and then all the mudslides. Unbelievable. Still recovering from the situation, and that was 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Rain's coming down heavy here, saturating the camera. Camera's just soaked. So is the harbor. The harbor is just soaked. Can just barely see the outline of the buildings now, just barely. They're getting some very, very intense rains through here. It's been doing this now for about an hour, so tropical storm rates are 2 to 4 inches per hour, so they probably got 2 to 4 inches of rain here in the last hour. Would be my guess. That's pretty easy to do for a Cat 5 hurricane. That's no problem. That's not a problem for a tropical storm moving at 10, 12 miles an hour. No, that's what they do. They are rainmaker extraordinaires. Harvey brought a 50 piece to Houston. Of course, it stalled over Houston for 24 hours, but maybe 36. But it rained like this for the vast majority of the time. It's been raining hard here for quite a while. And again, this is the heaviest I've seen it rain in Kingston. So they fared the storm pretty good. They're probably halfway through it right now. See water accumulating on that road over there the car just went through. So water standing on the roads. That's very normal. That is normal. Trying to keep the water out down here, pushing with a broom, keeping the water out. Water's starting to pile up. It's been raining hard now for about an hour. Very steady, very hard rain. Looking at the harbor, yeah, it's going to continue. It's a whiteout condition, basically. Rain coming down sideways. Got windy, and the rain got very wet all of a sudden. Big wet band of rain still going through the Kingston area. So you can imagine what's happening up near the eye wall. High winds, very, very high winds. We saw a roof come off of a house. What's up, Donald Street? Oh, thank you. That's very kind. Thank you, Donald. Big like to Donald Street. Thank you, Donald. It's very kind. Appreciate the kind words. Just hanging out watching the historic hurricane here make landfall. I believe it's their first Category 5, at least since we've been keeping records, or somebody's been keeping records. I know I haven't been keeping records for 175 years, but somebody has. Not many people experience a Category 5 hurricane. And over here in Kingston, they're not necessarily experiencing it. They're experiencing the outer fringes of it, though, that's for sure. Right out here. The white represents lightning. That's what that's showing us on this graph here. I mean, that thing was just pure power when it made landfall, so it's no telling what went on right there. That's in the White House, Jamaica area. I'll show you where that's at right here. White House. That's where it made landfall. According to what we just saw right there. That's the same location. What the hell's wrong with this thing, man? Stay on, dude. My zoom feature works when it wants to. Yeah, that's exactly in the White House area, right? Yeah, if you look at the zoom Earth, yeah, it's right there. Yep, it's right on the left side of that point. It's right there. And the left side of that point is White House, right there. There's the point. Yeah, it went right over White House. And sandy ground, right in here. Whew. Thank you guys for the likes. Appreciate that. Strongest storm in the world right now. You're looking at the side effects of the strongest storm on Earth. Hurricane Melissa formed in the Caribbean Sea. Started forming a few days ago as just an area of disturbance in the Caribbean Sea. And several days later, it turned into this. A high-end Category 5 storm. And that's how they normally start, but they normally don't spend days in the same area, just as an unorganized collection of thunderstorms and just rogue and random energy. Then all of a sudden it turned into a high-functioning, high-end hurricane that just made landfall just a couple hours ago in what appears to be White House, Jamaica. And now it's raining very heavy, has been for a while here in Kingston, in the Kingston, Jamaica area. Now we're experiencing whiteout again. Now you can kind of see the buildings a little bit, but not much. They've all but disappeared into the very heavy sideways rain. It is absolutely pouring and has been here for at least an hour. Pouring down rain in Kingston. So the rain's going to come down out of the mountains. We were talking about that earlier. You can see the mountainous, hilly area all around the Kingston area. Look at that. See those hills? And that water is going to run downhill. Even over here, it's going to run downhill. It's all going to run into Kingston in some way, shape, or form. Has nowhere else to go. So that one's off. So we're down to this one here, guys. This is the last one right here. Because conditions are starting to get a little bit unfavorable for superior camera communication. Totally get it. It's a hurricane, man. Surprised to even be able to see this much of it. But anyway, the historic landfall has occurred. Melissa is on the west end of Jamaica right now as I do this video, and it's moving east, northeast at 8 miles per hour, mainly due east, and it's headed towards Cuba. And will make a landfall in Cuba in right around 24 hours as a supposed Cat 4, maybe a Cat 5. We'll have to see what happens between now and then. I would say pretty good chance it'll be at least Category 4. I don't know, maybe a 3. I haven't looked at the wind shear. Let's look for dry air. You want to look for dry air? This will tell us. There's none. There's no dry air. So will this thing be a Category 4? You bet. Will it be a Category 5? Probably, because there's not one speck of dry air. Is there any wind shear? Nope. Minimal. Mid shear? None. Convergence? No. Wow. Conditions are basically perfect for a hurricane. Go figure. Look at the millibars. Are you serious right now? If that's correct, I don't know I've ever seen one that low. 871 millibars? Wow. Okay. I'm not surprised. Yeah, there's no dry air, wind shear going on, so that means that's why it's so symmetrically perfect, you know, when it comes to satellite presentation. There's no dry air or wind shear out there to cause it to become discombobulated. It's a high-functioning storm. So it's definitely an overachiever, that's for sure. It's headed towards Cuba, guys. We're going to be following it between here and Cuba. I'll do an update, I don't know, later on this evening. We'll see how things go. Right now, we're not able to see a whole lot, but the harbor here, I think this one is still online. This is in Kingston. They're getting a lot of rain, have gotten a lot of rain in the last hour. In fact, it's been pretty much a downpour, whiteout conditions at times. I've been watching this river over here, but that's offline. I've been watching the river over here just to the west of Kingston, but that camera's offline as well. So anyway, this is basically the only one we got left. So with that being said, I'm going to hop off here for now. We'll stop back in later. I want to thank you guys for spending part of your day with me. I appreciate it, and we'll do it again. Do it again later on today. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here. Have a great day. I'm going to go grab some lunch. I'm hungry. Thanks for watching. Have a super day, and be safe out there.